Which of these injuries do you think is more dangerous? Is it the injury where the head is severely lacerated and bleeding out? You know, the place where the brain is and it's the most important place to keep protected? Or is it the injury where the right hand is lightly scratched? That's right, it's the hand injury. Does it make sense to you? Yep, welcome to Project Zomboid. In this video, I'll be going over the various types of injuries you can get in Project Zomboid, where on the body they can occur, how these injuries can manifest on your character, and how you can prevent and cope with them when they inevitably occur. There are 6 main types of injuries you can receive in Project Zomboid. I have ranked them by their severity and how much they affect the player character. Bites are the worst of the injuries you can receive and are an immediate death sentence unless you have mods installed to make a cure or are more willing to use alternative methods of healing injuries. Fractures are the second worst injury in my opinion, as they can put you out for weeks, which you really don't have time for in the beginning of the game, and the fact that they can be very deadly depending on which body location you have. If you get a fracture at the beginning of a game, honestly, if you aren't doing it for a challenge, just restart the game. Burns take days to heal and are very debilitating. Deep wounds are lacerations, but worse if you don't have sewing materials. If you have sewing materials, you can sew it up immediately and be much better off than just having to rebandage it like you would with a laceration over and over. If you don't have any materials, however, it can take up to a month to heal. With stitches on, it takes days. Lacerations are worse than scratches in every way and take a few days to heal from. You have a 25% chance of getting infected if a zombie gives you this injury. Scratches are the least awful injury in the game, but are still debilitating if they are on certain body parts because this game's injury system is absolutely stupid and makes no sense. A scratch from a zombie has a 7% chance of infecting you. There are 17 different locations where you can be injured in Project Zomboid. Injuries on their own are bad enough, however, it is made much worse if you have the slow healer trait. The description for it says that you recover slowly from injuries and illness. This implies the damage that you take is the same, but it just takes longer to heal. This is not the case. The 2 worst locations are on the right hand and right foot. I genuinely would rather have a deep wound on my character's head rather than a scratch in either of these 2 areas. Do you see why this makes no sense? If you get injured in either of these 2 spots, it's basically over. You'd best hope you have somewhere safe to go if you have either of these injuries. Attack speed and damage are hurt by upper body injuries, and speed and stomp damage with lower body injuries. The amount this is reduced by is absolutely comical and is very unbalanced. These debuffs apply even worse to firearms, which really should be the other way around. You would expect it'd be easier to operate a firearm with an injury rather than swinging a melee weapon. Using one-handed weapons also does not entirely save you from injuries on the left side of your body either. For some reason, damage and speed are still affected, but just not as much. Neck injuries are much like head and torso injuries, however they cause you to lose health incredibly fast and will kill you if not bandaged quickly. Other than that though, they do not affect the player nearly as much as arm and leg injuries. Head and torso injuries supposedly affect fatigue drain, however I have never noticed an effect on this. Compared to other injury locations, mainly the right hand, this is actually one of the best places to be injured if you end up getting injured, which, again, makes no sense. Bites are caused exclusively by zombies. They can be prevented by practicing good situational awareness, being mindful about fighting zombies safely, and wearing protective clothing. Lacerations are caused mainly by zombies and sometimes by bad RNG roll tripping over fences or zombies. They can be prevented by not sprinting or jogging over fences and taking your time, avoiding running into multiple zombies, and practicing the same preventative measures you would use for bites. Scratches are exactly like lacerations in both causes and prevention. They're just less severe. Prevent them like you would with lacerations. Fractures are caused by falls from heights, car crashes, and being hit by blunt weapons by other players in multiplayer PvP. When it comes to heights, if you are unsure of whether or not a tile is safe to walk on, right-click and select Walk To. If the square is red, you're dead. If the square is green, you're clean. Be sure not to fall. For car crashes, avoid driving too recklessly and don't be drunk behind the wheel. In this game, if you are very drunk, your car moves much later than when you try to drive it. For getting hit by other players, just don't play multiplayer, or shoot them if you do. If you have no choice but to fight with melee, pray you get lucky and win, because this game is not optimized for PvP. Deep wounds are caused by climbing through broken glass-filled windows, walking on broken glass barefoot, car crashes, and supposedly falling from great heights and getting hit by an axe. I've only ever experienced these wounds from broken glass, however, though. Prevent these by cleaning out broken windows, wearing good conditioned shoes, driving carefully, and following the same rules regarding PvP as you would for fractures that I mentioned earlier. Burns are caused by being caught on fire. They're prevented by avoiding fire, so do that. If you somehow do get caught on fire, be sure to extinguish yourself with an extinguisher or water. I highly recommend carrying one of these around with you whenever you plan on using fire, because this game is absolutely horrible when it comes to fire mechanics and has gotten many survivors killed. Any injury can have an infected attribute. If it wasn't from a zombie attack, it can be ignored because for some reason in this game, wound infections are completely ignorable and they only slightly slow down the recovery rate, when they really should be very fatal like they are in real life. If it was from a zombie attack, it may be a zombie infection. Here's how you deal with bites. Okay, but seriously, unless you cheat or you have a mod with a cure, you're a goner. The best you can do now is go out in a blaze of glory. Good luck shooting guns though, if you have a bite on your upper body, though, because any injury completely there neuters your damage with guns for some reason. The best thing you can do for lacerations and scratches is to bandage and disinfect the wound, rest and recover. If it isn't possible, do the best you can until you find safety. For burns, treat the area with a clean bandage, bandage it again, and keep replacing it with clean bandages whenever possible until the burn goes away. For fractures, create a splint and apply it to the fracture if possible. If the fracture is on the head or torso, you can't splint it and we'll just have to wait it out. Splints are created with ripped sheets and either a plank, tree branch, or sturdy stick. For deep wounds, if you have a needle and thread, sew the wound up and keep it stitched for a long time. Do not bandage the stitch. If you do not have a needle and thread, bandage the wound and keep doing so until you either find the materials or wait 1 month for the wound to heal. A bonus tip for you all. If you didn't know, a great way to grind first aid in this game is by picking broken glass out of your feet. No, I'm not kidding. First, find a safe area, put broken glass on the floor and take your shoes off, walk over it and stand on it. Take the glass out with the tweezers and keep doing so until you have reached the first aid level you want. Be sure to read a book first for this so you can get the most experience possible. Once you are done, pick up the glass, remove any remaining glass, and stitch both wounds up with a needle and thread. Recover for several more days afterwards. I'll admit, this is very cheesy and nonsensical, but if you want a high first aid level without risking getting infected by zombies, this is the safest and fastest way to do so without mods allowing you to perform autopsies on zombies. Having a high first aid skill helps with managing all the injuries you may receive, but cannot do anything against zombie infections in vanilla Project Zomboid. That's all I had regarding my thoughts on injuries in Zomboid. The whole system is very bad in my opinion and really needs a rehaul, like many things in this game to be honest with you. That's all for a future video though if I decide to make one about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything you want to add, be sure to comment below. It helps the channel and me out as well as helping anyone else who may read it. That's all for now. Take care.
I am rather looking forward to this analysis, aren't you? Let's try this.